Dr. Harris, I see you nodding there, and I want to ask you because the WHO has praised the quarantine, but at the same time, the WHO also decided not to impose travel restrictions. And I'm looking at an advisory here from the WHO that's dated January 27th, and it says, the WHO advises against the application of any restrictions of international traffic based on the information currently available. And that didn't change after the declaration of a public health emergency either. I see a number of countries ignored that and did it anyway. But can you talk us through the thinking here? Why not impose travel restrictions?
Well, so actually, we didn't praise quarantine as such. What we were praising was exactly what Professor Hotez has identified: excellent provision of data, early provision of the information that allowed the scientists around the world to look at this virus, to understand its genetics, to develop testing, and exactly have candidates for vaccines. And that's never happened before in the history of an outbreak, of the speed with which all of this has been done. So this is where we, just as Professor Hotez has said, we were very pleased and happy to see that this kind of information flow, which is one of the reasons we have things like international health regulations, and where we ask our member states to get together and share data and share information. So exactly so that everybody who's got the expertise can get together and try to help. Now, on the travel and trade restrictions, this was very much something that caused major problems during the SARS outbreak. The world shut down on Hong Kong and China, and it became very difficult for anybody to get in and help, and it destroyed economies. It sowed terrible panic and fear. I'm actually from Hong Kong. I was living there at the time. The shelves were stripped bare. I see exactly the same thing happened this time. So even though and one of the reasons we emphasize, do not panic in terms of travel and trade restrictions, it seems that natural human, that human reflex to panic the minute we say, yes, this is serious, still kicked in.
Well, Dr. Harris, let me ask you then, because there has been a lot of speculation around the politics of this, and there was a lot of talk in China about a clampdown on information about the spread of the virus and the immediate aftermath of it emerging. And China is obviously a hugely important country, also for the WHO, not only as a current donor, but a future donor, and also as a partner working together to fight global health problems in the future. So clearly a very important, critical relationship to maintain. So let me ask you straight out then, has the importance of that relationship affected any kind of the WHO's response to the coronavirus?
I can tell you absolutely honestly, no. We have 192 member states and they all have equal status. China does represent 1/5 of the world's people, so they do represent a huge chunk of the human population. But in terms of whether we say one member state's more important than another, no. We do work with everyone, and we do strive to keep as much openness and as much as clear and open a relationship with all member states. Do remember, in the early stages of any outbreak, people just don't know what's going on, and sometimes people aren't sure that they've really got an outbreak on their hands. They actually notified us on 31st of December. We're now seeing that there probably were cases earlier, but with any outbreak, what is, in retrospect, clearly was perhaps a cluster of cases is not necessarily obvious at the time.
Well, in terms of timing, Dr. Harris, we've also seen it take some time to get a WHO team of experts into the country, an advanced team, and then a team of experts that's now on the ground and has only just been given permission to go to Wuhan. Why has it taken so long?
With Wuhan particularly, there were concerns that everybody there was so extremely overstretched that sending a mission how these missions work is you sit down with your counterparts in the area and you don't exactly subject them to a grilling, but you ask them to provide them with all the information they've got available on their particular area. So you're asking somebody who is actually trying to deal with thousands of people that they need to care for, to sit down and take a day off and spend time with you.
Sure.
Now, things seem to have settled down a bit in Wuhan. It has been possible. And so the team is now in there.
Well, one of the really critical parts of all of this has been testing for the coronavirus, right? And I see that in a number of places, it does seem that people are having up to 6 negative tests before then testing positive. And Dr. Li Wenliang, the Chinese doctor who initially raised the alarm, he died after testing negative multiple times and then testing positive. And now we're seeing evacuees from the Diamond Princess, the cruise ship, who initially tested negative, going home and then testing